Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel and welcome again in the series of history of English literature. Previously, we have discussed Anglo-Saxon age, Anglo-Norman, and age of Chaucer thoroughly. If you want to know about all these ages, please go and visit my channel where you can find all information of all these ages. Today's topic is Age of Revival, which was right after the death of Chaucer, and that comprises of 1400 to 1450. After the death of Chaucer, there was a void in literary sense. The writers who were predecessors of Chaucer, they were mostly imitators. No innovative work was done. And this happened due to many reasons. There were many events which occurred during this period which did not let any prominent figure to come out in literary sense. As we are discussing the history of English literature, that is why my main concern would be of England. The history of England, the political, social, moral and religious situation which were going on in that particular period. During the Age of Revival, Henry IV, son of John of Gaunt, was the king of England. This was the same John of Gaunt on whose wife's death Chaucer wrote an elegy. And Henry IV is the same king about whom Shakespeare wrote Henry IV. First and foremost event which occurred during this time was War of Roses, which is also called 30 Years' War. It occurred between 1455 to 1485. This war was actually between two noble families of England, and they were called House of York and House of Lancasters. This war was just for the sake of monarchy and power, that who is gonna win hold of over England. This war is called War of Roses because House of York's emblem was white rose and House of Lancasters represented themselves with red rose. This war ended with the entrance of Henry Tudor, also known as Henry VII. Finally, House of Lancasters won this war and Henry VII became the King of England. He married the daughter from House of York, hence this war ended. Now England monarchy had the blood of both noble families, House of York and House of Lancasters. The next king of England was Henry VIII. He was desperate to have a male child. In history of England, he had always been a prominent figure with his 6 wives. Yes, you heard right. He married 6 times just to desperately fulfill his desire to have a male child. And according to Church of Rome, this was a sin to marry again and again. So that is the reason behind disliking of king by the church bodies. He founded his own church in England. He got this solution and he founded his own church. In this way, he freed England from the clutches of Rome. He was against Catholicism. He brutally murdered many Catholics. He laid foundation of Anglican Church, or you may call this was the beginning of Protestant sect. And this was happening just to justify his act of marrying again and again. Now, of course, many of the masses were against Henry VIII due to this sinful act, as he had separated England from Church of Rome. One of the famous writers, Thomas More, was also King's Chancellor. He openly opposed King's decisions. This was the very Thomas More who wrote Utopia, which was published in 1516 in the Latin language, and in 1551 it was translated into English. Despite being a good friend of king, he was executed for going against the king. After Henry VIII, his daughters Mary and Elizabeth became the queens. In the next videos, we will definitely gonna discuss these queens too. There was also revival of literature. Greek and Roman texts were being read again. Italy became the hub of knowledge, and people from other countries and other parts of the world were going to get education and knowledge to Italy. And there was a revival of old literature, that is Greek and Roman text, and people started to imitate Greeks and Romans. That is why this is also called a revival of literature. The arrival of printing press in England by Caxton in 1476. It has a great importance in the progress of English literature and English people, because it was possible for the first time in history that books and knowledge reached everywhere. Greek ideas and Greek culture came to England. There was a revival of old literature, Greek and Roman. Meanwhile, humanism had started to flourish. It started in Italy. Francisco Petrarch is called the pioneer of his humanism. Bible was translated in many languages, and there were so many versions of Bible in that era, just because of the arrival of printing press. People had started to think beyond their vision, and now their minds were not controlled by the church. We have read previously that the church was really very corrupt, and Chaucer had stated this in his Canterbury Tales through different characters who belonged to church. Earlier, knowledge was confined only to the church bodies. The higher authorities of church could preach you whatever they want to, but now the excess of knowledge and books was very easy for every person. Every common man could read books and Bible too. That was the beginning of enlightenment of people's mind. The world was explored by the people. Before, people used to think that the whole world is comprised only of Europe or England, but now they have come to know that world is too vast to think of. There was a remarkable progress in scientific knowledge and exploration of the world and navigation. During this period, Vasco da Gama and Marco Polo discovered so many other parts of the world. Knowledge and experience from the other worlds had also a great impact on the people of England. Now, church had started to charge heavy amounts on common men for the salvation and purgation, which was against the law. And we also know that this England suffered from 100-year war, peasant revolt, and there were so many famines in that age. That is why the people did not have much money to pay off to church for the salvation of their sins. This was also a very big reason behind a revolt against church. Secondly, there was a movement of humanism and reformation, which also led people to go against church. The movement of Reformation was started by Martin Luther, who was a German, and it was a movement against Catholicism. He wrote 95 thesis letter to church bodies, and he also pasted these letters on the Wittenberg church wall. He challenged the power of church. This was a period of great hustle and bustle, and the writers who were writing prose in that age, they were mostly the imitators. Another reason of not producing a good literature was War of Roses, because we know that whenever a good literature is produced, mostly the rich people or the higher class of the society sponsor the writers. But when there is a war within the country, and the people, the families who are fighting with each other, they are unable to patronize or sponsor the literary bodies. That is why the people of that era did not get much interest in writing anything new or innovative. One thing must be kept in mind when any country fights for the freedom with any other country. Emotions of chivalry, heroism, nationalism, and love for freedom awaken in the country. But when we are fighting within the country, only jealousy, melancholy, intrigue, and conspiracy, all such type of emotions are created among the people. That is the reason no such glorious piece of literature was produced in that particular period. But the main and most important part of this age was revival of literature, revival of human minds, revival of exploration, revival of science, revival of human minds. In this video, I have tried to cover all the major aspects and events which happened in the age of revival. I hope you would have learned a lot from this video, and in the next video we will definitely going to discuss Renaissance, which was the most glorious in the golden period of English history. So keep waiting, keep subscribing, and keep supporting my channel. And again, thanks for being with Mehreen for such a long time.